Good afternoon. You guys, I'm excited to be able to bring you guys a new solution that is absolutely incredible. Not new as in brand new, but new to you. So as we go through different marketing phases with our HVAC clients, we really try and bring them through a series of stages depending on where they are and where they want to go. So if you're starting out right out of the gate, and the very first thing that we've got to address is getting you into a gorgeous website and something that's going to convert and be able to be optimized and marketed, then that's your first step. Sometimes it's that your social media sites are behind the times, or they may look like your business is closed because the last time you posted was 2010. Or potentially you guys are not in a position where your local listings or business directories are not properly set up. Maybe there's inconsistencies, wrong phone numbers, addresses, and so forth. Or when we get to the stage where uh, the basics are done, the infrastructure is there, you've got the website set up correctly, you have these things in place, we've got to take it to the next step. And this is really the next step that everybody needs to consider for a couple reasons. Primarily because humans make decisions based on what other people think. It's a reality. When a homeowner gets a referral from a friend and they're looking for an HVAC company to repair their air conditioning system or install new ductwork and so forth, the challenge is that even though it's a referral, they're still going to go to Google and they're going to type in your company name with the word reviews. So even in today's environment, and it wasn't the same way 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, in today's environment, even if they get a referral from a trusted source, their mother, somebody from the HVAC industry, they tend to make a decision based on their visual perception once they go to Google and they start doing research, and that perception is based on other people's perceptions. So nearby now, I have my friend Tane here with me, and we're going to go through this program, and I highly, highly recommend that you take just a moment to watch this video and then set up time with us, and we'll go through, answer any additional questions that you may have. But now's the time to get into that. If you're getting this video, it's because this is your time. It's time for you to start taking an active and proactive role in developing your online reputation, and taking more of an active role in creating permanent assets for your business that can be leveraged year over year. So with that, all right, sir, it's all you.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for taking the time to watch this video. Tell you a little bit about the overall benefits of the Nearby Now platform, how it goes about providing you with direct local traffic to your website, how it helps you generate reviews, and how it helps you also gain other attention through social media and other mechanisms online. So the goal overall of the platform is to help you to create two streams of local content. One stream is what we call the check-ins. The check-ins are going to be job descriptions that are done by your field personnel. They'll use our mobile app. They'll do a quick description of the work that they did for the customer. They can include a photo with that description, which is also helpful from a media signal standpoint. And those check-ins will automatically pick up a specific location based on where the technician was standing when they did the check-in. Now, at the end of the check-in, they can request a review. And those reviews will come back from the customer, and they will also carry the location where the work was conducted. And then we'll take those check-ins and those reviews, and we'll stream them to city-specific pages that you've set up, or rather that have been set up for you on your own website. And each of those pages is going to show all of the check-ins and all of the reviews that your team has created and your customers have created in the cities that you serve. And that will be creating for you rankings at the local level for each of those cities. You can also choose to set up pushing those check-ins and those reviews to your Facebook wall and to your Twitter stream to get even more attention on those platforms as well. So the reason this is effective, one, it's generating more content. Each check-in, each review, that is a high volume of content and a high volume of highly relevant content, and that's going to translate into better rankings for you at that local city level. It's also more frequent content. It's not just a big volume of content that happens, perhaps right at the time that your brand new site is redesigned, but because it's every single job and every single review, it's a trickle of content that's coming in every day. Every truck roll that you do, every job that you do is going to be generating more content. And that regularity of content update on your site, how often the site is updated, not just how much it's updated, is another thing that's going to help you from a rankings perspective. It's also more local. And by this I mean it's really showing where you work, not just saying where you work. Instead of a page that describes the services that you offer in a particular city, you're going to have it mapped out on those city pages, and it's going to show specific locations where jobs are occurring or where jobs have occurred, and specific locations where reviews are coming back. It's also more relevant, and this in particular applies to the check-ins. Because the check-ins are being done by your own staff, they follow some simple best practices which boil down to being brief, specific, and clear. In one or two sentences, they'll be describing a wide variety of terms that are going to be helpful to you from a marketing perspective. They'll be describing types of services that you offer, the types of customers that you serve, the brand names that you service and that you install, and all of those things are going to help drive online leads back to your city pages. It's also more structured. There's a special format maintained by an organization called schema.org. It's a special format for things like reviews and for check-ins that if you format it that way, all the web search engines have agreed that they will look for content that's formatted that way, and they'll be able to better understand it and better use it and give you better credit for it on your own website. So we make sure that we follow those exact formats for every check-in that you create and every review that your customers give you. We make sure that they follow these formats perfectly so that the web crawlers can see those things, and they can do things like count the number of reviews, average the number of reviews, and identify the locations of those check-ins and those reviews. And because all of this content is going to be streaming back natively to pages that are built into your own website, you will be getting all the credit for this content and all the rankings credit for this content. Our goal isn't to drive traffic to ourselves. Our goal is to drive traffic to you.
They really quick. This is a topic that I've brought up with these guys on many trainings. There are hundreds and hundreds of different applications that these guys are investing in that literally they're paying hundreds or thousands of dollars for applications that are built in a way that Google can't even see the content. And that's one of the things that's often, I mean, it's something I'm pointing out consistently is there's no reason to be investing in this application because it is simply built, it's in tables or tabular data, or it's a widget, or that is incorrectly formatted. And this is one of the best things about your guys' application is the fact that it is completely integrated with WordPress based on Google's requirements. And what I've seen from a results standpoint for the applications that we've installed and the case scenarios that you guys have is it's outstanding, and it works perfectly with your local search engine strategy.
Excellent. Thank you. So I was talking a little bit about the check-in process, and there's a couple of different ways to do this, but the way that I think your teams would probably be most likely to use it is using our mobile apps. And you can see the screenshots, the iOS and Android mobile apps here. Doing a check-in is as simple as launching the app on the mobile phone or other mobile device that your technician has. They tap into this white area here to type or use voice to speak a quick check-in message. Then they tap here to add a photo, either pull one off of the phone that's already there or snap one in real time. And then they tap here to finish the check-in. And that's all you have to do a check-in. The location is automatically picked up from the location services on the phone. Now, at the end of the check-in process, there's always the opportunity to request a review, and that's optional. So I would encourage you to encourage your teams to apply a little bit of judgment based on whether they think that the customer was delighted. If they maybe showed up a little bit late or had a little trouble had to come back a few times to get the job right, or the customer just seems to be in a very bad mood, perhaps you don't ask for a review. But in all other cases, go ahead and make that request. And the way you make that request is by entering either a cell phone number or an email address for the customer into the mobile app. Right after this page, it refreshes and you get a chance to do that. And when you enter that and click send, the customer will hear their phone chime or their computer chime right away. They'll get that email or they'll get that SMS message. And there will be a short link in that message. They click that link, they provide a review. And if it's done that way, right at the point of service by your technician, by the person who just solved the customer's problem for them, we see an average of a 40% response rate. Reviews coming back 40% of the time. Now, in addition to the standard questions that go out as part of the review survey, you also have the ability to customize the message that appears at the top of the review request form. You can also customize the thank you message that is presented to people after they successfully provide a review. And you can also use this as a way of goosing your traffic on several third-party sites. If you'd like to add links to your profile on some sites, including things like Facebook reviews or Angie's List, or Yelp or Google My Business, you can add those links and include those links on the review surveys that go out to all of your customers. Now, the local landing pages that get set up onto your site, I mentioned earlier that these would be at the city level, and they would be built in order to pull in the reviews and the check-ins that you've created and your customers have created inside the city limits of all of the cities that you serve. This is an example on the screen right now. This is an example of an Atlanta, Georgia service page. You can see Atlanta, the map is centered on Atlanta. The dots represent the check-ins. These are the places where the field technicians have done jobs. And then these call-outs, these gold call-outs, represent the reviews. These are the locations where reviews have come back. Now, this is probably a good time to point out, I've mentioned the location of the check-ins and the location of the reviews a couple of times. Just to point out that while the location that comes up when you do a check-in is specific, when we feed that back out to things like the city pages for on your website or into Facebook or into Twitter as part of an integration, we're not giving an exact location. It's in the neighborhood, so you'll get local search value in the neighborhoods that you serve, but it's not a pin dropped directly on a customer's house. So you don't need to worry about directly exposing a customer's location. And then beneath this service area map here, you see there's the most recent reviews on the left and the most recent check-ins on the right. And this is really where the meat is for the web crawlers. This is what the web crawlers are looking at, the full content that you see here, but also the schema formatting that I mentioned, the special formats that you don't see on the page here, but that the web crawlers can see. Now, I mentioned that you can push the content that you're creating, the check-ins and the reviews that your customers create out to your Facebook wall and to your Twitter stream. You turn those on and then you get to make the choice whether you would like to have it go just to Facebook, just to Twitter, and whether you would like check-ins or reviews or both. And then there's also on-demand sharing. If you would like to take an individual check-in or an individual review and share it out manually to these other sites, you can share those to Google My Business, Google+, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Yelp Business, and if you don't have the automated sharing turned on, you can also share it to Facebook and Twitter. So you're getting an opportunity to amplify the benefit of that content that you're creating. You're creating those great check-ins, and your customers are creating those rich reviews, and these are opportunities to use those in even more places to share that content elsewhere. Now, there's a leaderboard report that helps you keep a quick eye on the engagement of your team to see who is checking in as often as they should, who is requesting reviews the most often, or perhaps who's getting the highest average star rating. It's a great way to keep track of who deserves a pat on the back. It's also a good way to keep track of who might deserve a little bit of extra training or some best practices recommendations because they might not be participating as well as you'd like them to. You also have the ability to do a direct back-end integration. If you use a dispatch management system that tracks all your jobs and some or all of the information that you would need to create check-ins and to request reviews is already in that system, and your technicians are already filling out dispatch tickets, closing out jobs in the system. Perhaps it's got your customer contact information. You could do a direct integration with our back-end to have some of the content that we're talking about here, or all of it, be automatically created. For example, we have an HVAC client that serves about half of Australia. that has their dispatch management system directly connected to our back end, and they automatically create all the check-ins and automatically request reviews without the field technicians doing anything they weren't already doing, because they already have the right content in that system. And you can also do some publishing or correcting of check-ins and requesting of reviews from the central office. I think mostly you would probably have your field staff doing the check-ins from the field, from the point of service. But if there's a cleanup, maybe somebody forgot to do one, they can log into the computer later in the day from the central office. And there they'll do all the same stuff that they would do using the mobile application, except instead of assuming that the location is where they're sitting when they're using the computer, it would just ask them to provide an address. And you can use that to clean up like that. You can also go in and correct if there's a typo or something else in a check-in. So let me switch over to a live example. I'm going to do a search on electricians, Atlanta. And there's a couple of things I want to point out about the results here. This first organic search result, TE Certified Electricians, it's a Nearby Now client that serves Atlanta, Marietta, and some surrounding areas, a lot of surrounding suburbs. This count of 743 reviews and this average of 4.9 stars is a count and average of the reviews that they've gotten from people inside the city limits of Atlanta. This doesn't include reviews from any other part of their service area, and it also doesn't include reviews from any other source. This is exclusively reviews that have come through the Nearby Now platform. So this is validating a couple of important things. One, that schema that I keep mentioning, the special formatting for the check-ins and the reviews, is being recognized by the Google crawler, and it's able to do things like count the number of reviews and average the star rating. But the second thing, and probably more important, is that the Google search algorithm is making the choice to show these counts and to show these stars in your organic search results. And that translates to better click-through rates. So
Do
I'm
me
going to,
a favor real quick. Scroll up to the very top of that page. I want to point something out to these guys. So see right underneath all, it says about 28.2 million results. You guys, the significance of this is the more pages that are in a drawer. So when you look for Electricians Atlanta, there are 28.2 millions. It's the very top line right under the first paper, or right above the first pay-per-click ad. Yep, right there. The significance of this is for somebody to get ranked as number one of 28.2 million, that is massive. In a normal SEO environment, without having consistent content, regular check-ins, localized reviews, new, relevant, and local geo content placed on your website on a regular basis, the time that it would take to build blog posts and backlinks and so forth to be able to become number one of 28.2 million, that's significant. There's many scenarios where that could take somebody years and years to be able to develop that ranking, because essentially every time you do a search, Google is just a giant filing system. It's a big filing cabinet. And when you type in Electricians Atlanta, it's opening up a drawer, and inside that drawer, there are 28.2 million pages. So the more content you have related to that particular search phrase, the more pieces of paper you own in that drawer. Now, in order to move from the back of the drawer to the front of the drawer, Google wants the same thing as consumers do, which is validation, third-party endorsement. It's called backlinks or reviews or shares or likes or comments. All of those things, it's like a domino effect. Everything's completely connected. But having the ability to rank number one of that number, that's really significant. I just wanted to make sure they understand what a difficult search phrase that is.
thank you, and thank you for that clarification. And to build on that as well, one of the important things to note is, in addition to everything that Jennifer just described, that contributes to a very high ranking, contributes toward pushing your ranking higher up the list. Another thing that very commonly from a local perspective heavily reinforces search rankings is having a physical location in a particular locality. It's easier to rank in a place if you have a building there. And I wanted to point out, in this case, they are not located in Atlanta. They're located out in a city called Alpharetta. So the fact that they're ranking number one in the biggest city in their service area is based, really strictly based, on the check-ins, the reviews, and the optimization that they're doing to make sure all of that is clearly visible and gives them maximum benefit with the search crawlers. They're not being reinforced in Atlanta by having a building there. They are in Alpharetta, but not in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Otherwise, if they were in Alpharetta, my guess is they'd probably also show up in the Google My Business featured, the three listings above.
That's right. And the challenge and the solution that we offer is that it's extremely difficult to rank locally outside places where you have a physical location, because everything, or just about everything that Google does, certainly in the map pack, is all keyed off a physical location, which can be difficult for service area companies who often are not located in residential neighborhoods or in commercial neighborhoods of the type that their customers tend to be clustered in. And so it's extremely helpful to be able to drive organic results based on the points of service rather than the physical point of location. So I will jump over to the live page here. And this gives you a good example of what I was showing you on the screenshot, a live example. Now here you see that this page is set up to focus on Atlanta, Georgia. The content that's coming back, the check-ins, the reviews, the map that's coming back from the engagement in the Nearby Now platform goes from here to the last review and check-in at the bottom of the page. See, the map centers on Atlanta. The dots are the check-ins. The callouts are the locations of reviews. This is an interactive map, so you can zoom it in or zoom it out. You can drag it to the left or right. And it will show you the check-ins and the reviews for this particular client that are visible in view. So you see that changes, of course. If you zoom it back out again, you can see more cities around the edges, and you see more check-ins and more reviews. And this will just show what you can see. It's not limited to Atlanta specifically, although it's centered there. But beneath this, on the left-hand side is the most recent reviews, and on the right-hand side is the most recent check-ins. And these are specific exclusively to the city that this page is set up to focus on. And this is the meat. This is where the web crawlers are getting the specific content that is driving rankings for this company and would drive rankings for you at the local level and for all the keywords and all the types of services that they offer. So you can see the most recent review was 2 days ago here. There were a couple 2 days ago and then 5 days ago. We're recording this right after a holiday weekend. So their content flow is a little slower than it usually would be, but it looks like they did an emergency job yesterday on the holiday. And then a couple of jobs on Sunday, a couple of jobs on Saturday. And this company, by far, the volume of their work is very heavy in the Atlanta area. And on the strength of those check-ins and reviews, they're getting #1 rankings, as we discussed, for electricians Atlanta, but also Atlanta, Georgia electricians. But that's on the strength of a very high volume of content. If we jump over to a much smaller town in their service area, go to Beaufort, Georgia, they similarly have #1 rankings for electricians, Beaufort, Georgia electricians. And that's on the strength of a much slower flow of content. Their most recent review was 7 days ago. Before that was 13 days ago. Before that was 28 days ago. So, probably 1/7 or even less the amount of content that they get in Atlanta. But this is also a less competitive keyword market. And they're driving either #1 or very close to #1 rankings for some great terms in all of the cities across their service area. And as they serve new cities, they simply deploy those new city pages, and the check-ins and the reviews start showing up there automatically. So Jennifer, that's the overall presentation of what the platform offers. Did you have any more specific questions or anything you'd like me to drill into?
I absolutely love it. You guys, this is an incredible application. Now is the time to, take the next step take the next step. Remember, you guys need to plan for seasons. So right now, and we're doing this, I know this is recorded, so it's going to depend on when you're watching it, but for this particular time, we're doing this right at the cusp of summer. So being able to get this implemented right now and get going so that during the peak of your season, you guys are able to implement, get the training done, get your technicians and your installers utilizing the system and start building, that's going to prepare you for winter. And um, the more check-ins, the more reviews that you guys can get going, the less of a roller coaster ride you're going to have as your seasons change. So we really need to concentrate on trying to build this up as quickly as possible. Question, can they go backwards? So if they have an existing database of customers, can they go backwards when they first set it up and request a review out of the system?
You can. You can go in and do some historical check-ins for jobs that were done in the past. And you can also request reviews that were done in the past. But our recommendation would be, in general, the check-ins can be highly valuable because they're created internally and they don't depend upon a client response. But that it might be best to gather reviews only for very recent jobs or jobs going forward, because the response rate that you get if it's been a few days or a few weeks is so much lower. And when you begin requesting reviews from just about every job, if you're getting them at a 40% response rate, which is our average, you'll find that you gather those reviews very, very quickly. But it can be helpful to post some historical check-ins, just to have, as it were, a critical mass of content across your more critical cities. So identify 5 or 10 jobs from the most important cities in your service area can help ensure that you have some initial content there on day one when you activate your site integration.
That's perfect. The other thing I would tell these guys is for those of you who have maintenance agreements. So this is a client who has signed up for a maintenance program and they're getting quarterly or semi-annually or annual service from you, and you've got an established relationship. They've continued to be with your company on this program for more than a year. I would say that would be another great target to go back and ask for reviews, because there is that relationship. It's not a situation where they can't remember who their HVAC guy is, even if you did service 6 months ago. Um, they're paying you on a regular basis. You're in their home on a regular basis, and that would be a great opportunity to focus on getting the system filled, getting your website filled up with some content right out of the gate. That's a good target.
And that's also a great opportunity for different types of check-ins. I mean, the most obvious type of check-in is you're making an installation or you're doing a repair of some sort. But even warranty visits are a great opportunity to do a check-in, even if nothing is found wrong. In fact, perhaps especially if nothing is found wrong, because warranties are all about preventative maintenance. And that's a good opportunity not just to mention that you were doing that type of an inspection, but also to mention the fact that it is related to a warranty and perhaps some of the terms of the warranty, because folks may also be searching for that sort of service as well.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an awesome presentation. This is really one of those scenarios where you have to think about how do I formulate my business to where everyone is involved in creating digital assets that are going to help us progress forward and achieve our goals? How do I get the entire organization to contribute to creating leveraged assets, compounding interest impacts on our business? And avoiding all the missed opportunities. Right now, if you think about it, every job you've ever went out and done, just imagine if you had checked in reviews, content on your website in the local area for every single job that you've ever done. This is one of those things that is probably a giant missed opportunity at this point. And I just want to make sure that we cut we cut that right now, and don't go another day without putting the system in place and setting yourself up for success, making sure that there's no more missed opportunities, that you are becoming a documentarian for your business and creating these digital assets that will help you achieve your goals faster. This is going to tie in perfectly to all of the existing services you're subscribed to. whether it's local listings, your social media campaign, your SEO campaign, your pay-per-click campaign. This is only going to make you much, much, much stronger. So with that, if you guys are interested in getting some more information, asking some questions, or you're ready to get going, please go to ciwebgroup.com. You know how to schedule an appointment. You can set one up with Mandeep. You can set one up with myself. You can set one up with one of our sales consultants. And we would be happy to get you set up in the program, start the implementation and training process. And let's take advantage of this next season by getting your guys up, running, mobile apps installed, and change a couple small business practices, not much, and really take advantage of this great opportunity. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and your time today and your entire team for partnering with us.